afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's still newer-ish shows, What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. So, maybe you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or maybe you feel stuck and you want to get stuck, whether it's in your business, your job, your relationships. All of our guests have something in common with you. At some point in their lives, they felt similarly, and they decided that they wanted to make a change. And today's guest is no exception. Today, joining me at the table is Bonny Clayton, owner of The Web Chick, also known as The Tech Geek with a Creative Streak. What that means, as Bonny explains it, is that you get both sides of her brain working for you to optimize the three major facets of your online presence. They are your website, your social media, and your email marketing. And Bonny has some really cool, creatively named programs, which is why I wanted to run down the list. You're Not Alone web design and redesign packages. The I've Got Your Back WordPress website maintenance plans. The Jumpstart Your Web Presence private sessions. I'll Be There For You, that's a song. Small Biz Support subscriptions. The Content Bank Kickstart 30 days of content straight to your inbox. I love this one too. We're in this together, intensive support program. Definitely showing not only the creative side, but who she really is as a business owner. Bonny began her business over a decade ago, and she believes your web presence trifecta, otherwise known as your website, social media, and email marketing, is crucial to online business today, and it is. She further believes that getting it set up doesn't have to stress you out or take up all your precious time. And that's why she loves partnering with small business professionals, because they tend to be fiercely passionate about what they do, which in turn fuels her passion for what she does. Her specialties include WordPress design with HTML and CSS background, and you don't have to know what that is yet, but you will once you get to know Bonny, if you decide to hire her firm. Social media design, education and integration, email marketing implementation, Facebook page design and optimization, and also she's a pretty phenomenal speaker. She uses her skills to help small business professionals establish and maintain a solid online presence. Bonny holds multiple certifications in website design and social media marketing. She's been nominated for multiple awards, including winning Best of Gloucester County in New Jersey for Web Design Webmaster in 2019 and 2021. This is an annual competition where the readers choose the award recipients. There's thousands and thousands of votes cast. Bonny also volunteers her time in efforts that help uplift and support others, including serving as co-founder and chair of PWSJ, Powerful Women of South Jersey. And her faith is a significant part of the wonderful person she is. So without further ado, please welcome Bonny Clayton to our show. So yay! Round of applause.
Yeah, you make me sound pretty awesome.
Well, you are pretty awesome. And so I know you've had your business for over 10 years. And as you know, and everybody who's watched the show before, I don't know when you were little that you ever thought that this is what you'd be doing at this point in your life, especially since I know, I'm not going to date you, but I know when I was little, there was no such thing as Facebook.
No,
So
when I was little, there was, I don't know, the internet may have been fledgling when I was little, but my first interaction with the World Wide Web was actually back when they were bulletin board systems. I guess I was about 16, maybe 17. So when I was little, no, I had no idea. There was no glimmer in my eye of web design at all.
So what did you want to be when you were growing up?
When I was little, I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
I had a grade book and everything.
Aww.
I took roll call, and I pretended to grade papers, and then I would write the grades in my little grade book. Yeah, I had a whole thing.
Wow. So how did you get, and now there are elements of what you do that absolutely are teaching, but how did you get from little Bonny who wanted to be a teacher to Bonny, who now owns her own companies, helping other small companies with their online presence.
Well, I got my first computer when I was about 18. It was a Commodore 64.
Oh,
You know, the one where you'd put the disc in and go take a shower, make a sandwich. By the time you come back, it might be loaded.
Yes.
And I've just been fascinated with computers and the things that computers can do. I like to joke that I went to the school of, hey, what's this button do? Just very curious by nature, and what can I make things do, and how can I make, I'll see, you know, oh, they did that. How do I make it do that? And just from that, you know, learned Microsoft Office Suite and dabbled around a little bit with some hobby type of websites as a 20-something. And then in 2002, my dad decided that he wanted to try to sell fishing tackle online. And he thought, because I knew how to run a computer and do these hobby websites, that sure, why not? I could build him a full-blown e-commerce website, no problem. So I said, all right, I'll take a bash at it. You know, I didn't want to destroy my dad's faith in my capabilities, because, you know, when you have supported parents, they think you can do anything.
Yes, they do.
And I didn't want to disagree with that. So I said, what's the worst that can happen? So I boogied on back to the school of, hey, what's this button do? And I taught myself HTML. Wow. And then a year or so later, CSS, because it's the kind of thing where you can make a change in one place and it populates across the entire website. So that was a huge time saver for me when I learned the cascading style sheets, the CSS of online language.
See, now you know what CSS stands for, cascading style sheets. So you're already teaching them, but please continue. So you've learned all this. You're building the site for your dad.
Yeah, and you know, he kept the website until 2012, and it was kind of really not much fun for him anymore. It got to be a lot of work. You know, people wanted stuff like yesterday, and he said, you know, I want to sell it or take it down or what have you. And then it was around that same time that I was kind of playing with the idea of maybe doing this as my full-time gig.
Okay.
So he was my first website that I built and maintained for 10 years. And then in 2011, I was no longer happy in the job that I was at, and caused me to play with the idea a little bit more. Of I think I'd like to, because this wasn't the first time something similar had happened, and I kind of felt like I really don't want to go through this again. You know, I don't want to go through this every 4 or 5 years. I think I would like to work for myself, helping people, you know. And I was engaged at the time to my now husband, and he kind of threw me the lifeline, so to speak, and he said, do it. You know, you've been talking about doing this for years. Do it. He said, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah. You know, it's not like you're going to wind up homeless. We're getting married in a few months. Do it. Yeah, now's the time. So I quit my job, and I started, at the time, it was Timely Manner Consulting.
Okay. And then Timely Manner Consulting grew and evolved.
I was doing it I did it part-time for a year, and then I went into full-time in 2012. I don't know, 2012, and had some clients, and one of my favorite clients, and she's still with me today. Can I give her a shout out?
You can.
Hi, Lynn Bardowski, $1 Million Party Girl.
Oh,
how you
yes.
doing?
I know Lynn too. Hi, Lynn.
So we were having coffee, and we're talking about some of her web presence needs, and she said, you know, I kind of want to talk to you too about Timely Manner Consulting. She said, you know, it doesn't really speak to what you do. Yeah. You could be consulting about anything. She said, it's really not brand specific. He was very broad. And I said, well, look, I don't care if people call me the web chick as long as they call me. And she said, that's it. You're the web chick. And it kind of stuck from there and has grown into an entire brand. And I love it, and my clients love it. The kind of client that I attract loves the whole web chick persona with the avatar and the fun graphics and everything. So.
And it really does describe you, especially the tech geek with a creative streak, because you're a little bit of a unicorn there.
Yeah.
A lot of people are one or the other.
Exactly.
But you really do both.
Yes.
Well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you start your own business, and one of the questions I was going to ask you is, it sounds like you had a lot of support and inspiration. So you kind of mentioned two. I don't know if they're the top three. Actually, you mentioned three. But who were some of the people that really supported you in doing this?
Yeah, well, it would be my dad who kind of threw me in the deep end and said, swim. And I did, and I loved it, and obviously I'm still doing it 20 years later, but now I'm doing it for a living. And then, my husband who was like, yeah, swim, and you're not going to drown. I'm here. You're going to be fine. And then Lynn was the one who really kind of sealed the deal for me, so to speak, in the branding side of it. But my niece, she says I'm her role model, but I want to be like her when I grow up. So she's highly, highly supportive of my entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And then I have a whole team of women through the PWSJ who are all very supportive. I've been really fortunate. Many years ago, networking changed my business. I had the website, I had the Facebook page, I had the plaque on the door, I had the whole 9 yards. I just didn't have a whole lot of clients that were keeping me afloat. And then when I started networking, it opened up a whole world of opportunity for me. And that was interconnections for women, which I think is how I met you.
Yeah, that, and then there was another women's network as well. Before you decided to launch.
Powerful You.
Powerful You.
Yeah, Powerful Women of South Jersey was kind of born out of Powerful You. When they decided to shut down that branch of their business, we kind of said, we don't want this to stop. There's a need in our area for women, specifically women's networking. Can we take our favorite kind of concepts from what you were doing and rebrand it? And they said, yeah, run with it. Yeah. You just don't use the name.
And you didn't.
Right.
And actually, I think the name that you picked works better, to be honest. But you are in a crowded field. And so, to your point, networking helped make the difference. I think we touched a little bit on some of the things that make you different from your competition, but what do you think makes you different than, other entities out there that are saying they can, I'm going to say both doing this successfully, and then there are some that are claiming to do some things. Like we had a conversation recently about someone who was paying $500 a month for search engine optimization for something that probably really didn't need to be optimized.
Right.
So what is it that makes you different, other than the fact that you use both sides of your brain?
Well, I am in a male-dominated field, so just being a woman in my field, that makes me different.
It does.
Right off the bat. Also, specializing in WordPress. I actually didn't start this business knowing anything about WordPress. When I started this business, I was working strictly in HTML and CSS, which is the underlying programming language of any platform that you choose, whether it's Wix, GoDaddy, Website Builder, any of those. They all use HTML and CSS. But because I have that background, a lot of WordPress designers, they only know WordPress. They only know what WordPress can do as WordPress. Like they don't really understand the underlying code. So I can really get under the hood of a WordPress website and fiddle with the code, fiddle with the HTML, fiddle with the CSS. And it's not just working inside the lines, so to speak, of WordPress. So I think that makes me a little bit different than a lot of WordPress designers.
It would.
A lot of WordPress designers will tell you, well, your theme doesn't do that. And I say, maybe we can make your theme do that.
Okay, because of the language understanding.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wish you had known before you got into the business in particular, in general, but also in operating your own company?
Well, you know, I've watched your show, so I knew this question was coming. And there's probably a whole laundry list of things that I could answer, but really the first thing that came to my mind when I thought, what am I going to say when Barbara Ann asked me that question? And the first thing that really came to me was, I think one of the biggest surprises in being a freelancer was that people would hire me for my expertise and then not want me to exercise it.
Yeah.
And that speaks to my first experience. I was fortunate that I didn't have to do it for about 6 or 7 years into my journey as a freelancer, but I did have to fire my first client.
Okay. Now we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that, because it's, believe it or not, we're at the halfway mark, so it's time for us to take a break. So please come back after our brief commercial break for more with Bonny Clayton, your web chick, the tech geek with a creative streak, and how she handled a situation with a particular client that just didn't want to listen to the expertise they were paying for. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann, and today's guest, Bonny Clayton, the owner of Your Web Chick. Your Web Chick or the Web Chick?
Your Web Chick.
Your Web Chick. Okay, so I got that right. So Your Web Chick, otherwise known as the tech geek with a creative streak. And right before the break, we were talking about the fact that one of the things you wish you had known was that sometimes, and I don't want to get in the box with you because this happens with me as well, but people hire you for your experience and then don't want to listen to what you have to say, which defeats the whole purpose of hiring an expert for their experience. So this situation comes up for you. How did you handle it?
Well, I wound up firing the client, on the spot, pretty much. Mm-hmm. They were asking me to do something that I knew it wasn't illegal or even unethical, but it was against best practices. Mm-hmm. When you want someone to take action on your website, you want them to do it the fewest number of steps, whether it's pay you money, sign up for something, get your contact information, whatever it is that you want them to do, it's the least number of clicks. Mm-hmm. And what they wanted me to do was just going to be 4 clicks for the people to get to the call to action. And I was trying to explain to them why. And this was over the course of days. We went back and forth, back and forth. And I was talking to them on the phone. I was away from my desk. And it had culminated in the conversation what basically equated to, why can't you just do as you're told? Okay. And I said, I took a beat because I didn't want to yell or come off as angry, even though I was. Mm-hmm. But I took a beat and I said, look, I don't think I'm the right person for what you want to do. So here's what I'm going to do. When I get back to my office, I'm going to cancel your subscription, I'm going to cancel your membership and refund this month's fees. And they tried to backpedal. But at that point, I knew that that relationship was never going to be where they respected me as a business owner and as someone who was an authority in my field. I mean, at that point, I had already been doing it for 15 years. even though I'd only been in business for 5 or 6 years,
Yeah,
I'd been doing this for 15 years. I knew what best practices were. And they were trying to force me to go against that. And I said, it's not for me. Right. This relationship is not for me. So I broke up with them or fired them, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially when it's the first time you ever have to do it. So, you know, and there's an element of courage that comes along with that, you know, because you just don't know, especially in today's very social media driven environment, you don't know what they're going to go say on Yelp or anything like that. So,
exactly.
So how did you find the courage to overcome the fear of what the unknown consequences of that could be?
Right.
Because I'm sure there's people out there right now who watch this show that could be in very similar circumstances, and they are fearful of making that kind of a bold decision, but very important one.
Well, you really have to think of it in terms of anyone can write a negative review for you, even if you've never even worked for them.
That's true.
So are you going to continue? I mean, this could have escalated into a business relationship with this person where they would have continued to abuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, essentially, that's what they were doing, was they were disrespecting my knowledge, my skill, my expertise, and they were just saying, no, we just do as you're told, which is kind of borderline abusive.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So am I going to allow myself to be treated like this, or am I going to stand up for myself, know my worth, know my value, and say, nope, this is where I draw the line. You know, I'm not going to do this for you because I know better. And there really were no negative repercussions. They'd never left a negative review. And I think that's because I took that beat.
Yeah.
And I didn't scream and yell, and I didn't lose my temper, and I was very calm, I was very reserved, and I just
refunded them?
Look,
Yeah.
this isn't working out.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
no, there didn't seem to be any hard feelings.
Yeah, it almost like, in some ways it sounds like they maybe even respected you more because you were like, you know what, no, this just isn't working. So kudos for doing that. And as you all heard, you know, she just decided that, you know, there's a lot of people out there, we keep hearing these terms, quiet quitting and things like that, and there's a lot of people who've been talked to that way that don't want to be talked to that way anymore. And so,
well, that's kind of why I started
your
working
own company.
for myself.
Yep.
Was because I didn't want to be disrespected like that. I didn't want to be devalued. You know, I didn't want someone to make me forget, even for a second, my worth. So if I'm not going to put up with that in a JOB situation, why would I put up with that in my own business?
Absolutely. So in terms of your industry overall, there's so many misunderstandings and myths. And like you just talked about one, you know, 3 clicks or less. That's like industry standard.
Right.
So with very limited exceptions. And so would you say is a myth that a lot of people don't understand about your profession, especially those who are thinking about starting a company or even going to work for a company such as yours? What is a myth about the industry that you would like to debunk or confirm even?
For a client or for someone who wants to get into this industry, or both?
It can be
or
both,
either.
actually, because the clients have unreasonable expectations sometimes.
They absolutely do.
But then people who are getting into this industry also really don't understand what they're getting into.
Yeah. For people who are looking for a web designer, I would say, you know, you have to be very specific about what you're looking for. And if you've already started working with a web designer, to simply say, I don't know why I don't like it, but I don't like it. That's not going to be helpful to move your project forward.
Yeah.
Is it too blue? Is the font too big? Is it, you know, more images, fewer images? you've got to be very specific.
Yeah, because you don't read minds.
Exactly. My crystal ball broke years ago. So, valuable feedback is really what is most important when you're working with a designer, is feedback that they can, I want it higher, I want it lower, I want it bluer, I want it redder, I want it, I don't, the images are too casual, I want something more formal, or vice versa. So definitely if you're working with a web designer or looking to work with a web designer, you definitely want to find ways to clearly communicate what it is that you want or need in the project so that it can move forward. And then for people getting into the business, I would say networking has got to be in your business plan.
Okay.
Again, just hanging that plaque outside your door and saying, here I am, it's very difficult to drum up business that way. And again, networking changed my business for me. That was really how I started. And now I would say minimal 75% of my business is repeat business or word of mouth.
Wow.
So in order to get that initial push to get yourself out there, I highly, highly, highly recommend networking.
Awesome. And believe it or not, we're at time.
Really?
That's the final word. I
Wow.
know. It always seems like a half hour, and I say this every show, but it always seems like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're at time. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to
Thank
come
you
on
for
What the
having
Why
me.
and share your story. And earlier we showed a slide that does have Bonnie's contact information on it, but just in case, what's the best way for people to contact you?
If you go to my website, yourwebchick.biz, you'll find all my contact information there, all my social media, my email address, every way to get in contact with me.
Awesome.
And check me out.
Yeah, which is absolutely, especially her avatar, which really does look like her. I love the avatar. So thanks again for being.
That always tickles me when people see my car. I have it on my car, and they go, that looks like you.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the point.
That is the whole point. So thanks again for being our latest inspiring guest.
Thank you.
And as for future episodes, please tune in for our upcoming line of guests, including, but not limited to, Anita Grace Brown, author and yoga teacher at Grooveology. We've got Tom Drucker, CEO of Consultants in Corporate Innovation and a specialist in psychological safety. We've got Tanner Ali, founder and residential land steward at iLogic Sustainable Industries. And Lisa Hilleran, author and owner of Lisa Hilleran LLC, my first guest on What the Why, who will be updating us on her recent transitions and graduation with her master's degree. And that pretty much rounds out, I hate to say this, 2022.
Oh my gosh.
So definitely rejoin us in 2023. The show has been continued, and we're going to have a whole lineup of exciting guests for 2023 as well. Probably some friends coming back. In any case, you definitely don't want to miss what any of our upcoming guests have to say about their journeys. Also, just a quick plug, check out my recent appearance. Last week, we had Dr. Kevin Jarina, RVN's host of Unwinding Stress, and I was also on that show, so feel free to go check out that show on rvn.com. I was also several months ago on Defining Moments with Her Biz's Ellen Herbert. And then one of my repeat guests is also an RVN show host with the newer show, Taliasin's Magical Tales. So please do check out those shows as well as all of the shows that are on RVN, because we definitely have some really interesting content you won't find anywhere else. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and Mondays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, within 2 days of our initial airing, we're available on demand at rvntelevision.com, and our show also airs on Roku. And please remember, whether you're looking to make changes in your life or career, whether big or small, join us for more inspirational and informational conversations with guests such as Bonny, who wanted to make changes and overcame fears, obstacles, challenges, whatever was in their paths, to find their core purpose and live it.